good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am just Mike. You are watching and you are listening to episode number 74 of The Rock Out Wild Show, where it is not just a show, it is a way of life. And if you're new to this video, or if you are new to this channel watching this right now, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below this very video. You can also like or dislike this episode however you want to rate it, and share this episode on all of your social media platforms, from your Facebook to your YouTube, your Instagram, your X, what have you. Whatever social media site you use, share episode 74 of The Rock Out Wild Show wherever you do. And also tell everyone what The Rock Out Wild Show is all about, from your family to your friends to your coworkers to your acquaintances. Let everyone know about The Rock Out Wild Show. As you see from the title of this very episode, I will be going over an article on 30 movies that defined the 60s. This was an article that was uploaded early last year from a website called Forbes. So I will be going over that in the main event. Why I'm doing this article, well, is because I like to go over the decades of movies to gear up for a list of mine when I will rank my top 100 favorite movies of all time. That topic in itself is a very, very distant future type of episode. It'll be one of the last episodes you'll ever see of The Rock Out Wild Show, whenever that will be. So that's the reason why I'm doing this article right now. And also, I've done an episode where I went over movies of the 80s. So it makes sense that I will go through over each decade. You never know when it will be, but I will probably go over movies of the 90s or the 70s or the 50s or the 40s, going over the silent era. That is another topic in itself. So, or for this episode, episode 74, it'll be the 60s. And if you grew up in the 60s, this will be the episode for you. So, 30 movies that define the 60s will be the main event of this very episode. Also, we're going to take a look at on this day in the world of music, wrestling, film and television, and sports, nothing but sports, for June the 24th. As of this recording, it is June the 16th. And to kick things off for episode 74 of The Rock Out Wild Show, I'm going to react to an old movie review of mine, a movie called Tracers. But the first thing I'm going to do is open up the webcam and say hi to everyone watching this right now. So, let's do this, shall we? So, let's present, share screen. Let's go to the review for Tracers. Let's go full screen. Let's go full screen here. And before I start to hit play on this review that I'm going to react to, I'm going to guess the amount of points I gave Tracers. I don't recall liking this movie all that much. And I don't think this movie, looking back at it, was horrible either. My guess is probably a 54 out of 100. That's just a guess, but we'll see. So let's react. In 3, 2, 1, action. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Premium Rush's little bitty baby brother who's trying to learn how to speak but just can't form any words. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. How I even thought of that as an intro. Oh my god. Anyway, let's continue. Hey, what's up and how's it going, all movie fans in the Movieverse? Welcome to the Mike McRock Movie Review Show. Right now I'm going to review Tracers, and if you have any thoughts on this movie, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and also make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. So Tracers is about a New York City bike messenger who is wanted by the Chinese mafia. He owes a lot of money. He's also low on rent. He's living in this house where he just doesn't get a lot of income coming in because he has no job basically,
Right.
and
Yeah.
he has to try to make a living. And all of a sudden, he runs into this woman after an accident who is involved in this practice called parkour. And if you don't know what that is,
Hardcore. Yep.
it is basically jumping around, doing monkey flips and all that, etc.,
Very, very
on
much.
cars and on boats and ships and on different kinds of platforms, parking lots, and all that stuff. So I like, that element because it kept this movie going, I think. But to me, this is not a really good movie at all. In
Yeah.
fact,
I
this is
figured.
just another one of those typical Hollywood B movies.
Very much.
And this movie stars Taylor Lautner, who
Right.
I don't think he was any good in this movie. He's not a good actor. I don't think you could carry this movie. He's basically known as a character actor mainly for Twilight, but
Yep.
at least in this movie, for the most part, the redeeming quality out of Taylor Lautner is that he kept his shirt on for most of this movie. And you also have the supporting cast. You have Marie Avenor-Polis. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. I'm just no good at pronouncing really long last names.
And I speak from experience doing this Rock Out Wild shows every week.
We have Adam Rayner as well as Rafi Gavron, who I thought the supporting cast, I thought the acting was passable. I thought a couple of the supporting cast was fine. I think mainly the best actor in this movie, I think, was Rafi Gavron, who I thought was decent in this movie. And you also have this guy, Adam Rayner, who had a character change around at the last 30 minutes of the movie. And I thought that was kind of it was just thrown in there just for the sake of throwing this twist in to make the movie interesting. That's the way I saw that twist. It wasn't really overly good at all because I thought he wasn't a really good actor. And when you want to become a villain in a movie, you have to sell me on the fact that you're a good actor to become a
Yeah.
villain. I know I
True.
said this before, but it's really true, and it's really true in this case. So the acting was passable. I thought some of the action was fine. I mean, when the action got good, it got good. I like some of the chase scenes in this movie, especially that chase scene in the 30-minute mark. I thought was kind of suspenseful, but in the same time, it is predictable, and you can call stuff before it happens. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Very
very
predictable.
predictable, and with its limited script and the story plot and its cliches, it really adds nothing new to the element of action movies at all. This is just a by the numbers type of B movie, and even the backstories I thought they were cliched as well. The writing is just the very very limited, not all that great. You've seen it all before, and this is definitely one of those type
Yeah.
of movies. I'm not going to spend too much time, so this is where I'm going to end the review for Tracers. And I will say that this movie delivered 52 points out of
Oh.
100. And the
Oh.
reason why I'm giving this a free pass is because at least it was an enjoyable movie just to pass the time, but that's pretty much it. And if you saw this movie, what did you think about it? Feel free to leave those comments in the comment section below. And you can also hit that subscribe button down below this video as well to get Mick Rocks.
God darn it. Off by 2 freaking points. I was so close. So freaking close with that. But I figured that was pretty much what I would give that movie because I don't remember Tracers being all that great, and it's not horrible either. The only thing I remember about Tracers is all the parkour stuff that happens. That's pretty much it. Oh, and Taylor Lautner, obviously. So it's just one of those movies that came out 11 years ago that's already forgotten about, but I reacted to it, so there is that. Let's move on, shall we? So I like to call
right now on the Rock and World Show, I'm going to do a segment called On This Day. And we're going to start off with music. So let's present share screen. And let's see what happened in years past for June 24th in music, the biggest music headlines. As you see, there's a picture of, looks like Drake. I think it's Drake, I'm not sure. LA Lakers. Actually, I don't know who that is. If you could tell me who that is, feel free to drop that in the comment section. But I'm sure the first thing, yes, it is. Drake sets a new UK chart record in the digital era. So, well, before I continue, why is Drake wearing a Lakers jersey? That's just baffling to me. Anyway, let's continue. In 2016, which was 10 years ago, Drake set a new UK chart record for the digital age when One Dance featuring Wizkid and Kyla became the longest running number one single since downloads and streams were included in the ranking. The song, which appeared on the Canadian rapper, singer, and songwriter's fourth studio album, Fuse, spent 11 weeks on the chart, while it also marks Drake's first number one hit as a lead artist in 15 countries, including the US, Australia, and Canada. In 2007, the White Stripes topped the UK chart with their seventh and final album, Icky Thump. The release marked the second number one LP in the UK, following 2003's Elephant, while across the Atlantic, Icky Thump earned the duo the third Grammy for Best Alternative Music Album. In 1965, the Hollies scored their first number one hit in the UK with I'm Alive. The song, which spent 3 weeks in the top position, was one of 25 top 40 singles for the long-running group. In 1967, Procol Harum's A White Shade of Pale began its run on the Billboard Hot 100. The enduring Baroque pop tune, which had been covered more than 1,000 times, peaked at the number 5 position, while it would top the UK pop chart. One of the world's best-selling singles of all time, the song would later be inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame and included on the Rolling Stones 500 Greatest Songs of All Time ranking. And in 1965, John Lennon released his second book, A Spaniard in the Works, a follow-up to his 1964 debut hit in his own right. The book's title was a play on the saying, A Spanner in the Works. Much like its predecessor, it featured a variety of drawings, nonsensical stories by the Beatle. We have some birthdays for June 24th. We have Jeff Beck, who was born on this day in 1944, one of the great guitar players of our time. From Traffic, Chris Wood was born on this day in 1944, and so was Arthur Brown. He was born in 1944 as well. Born on June 24th, 1945, Colin Blunstone from The Zombies. Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac was born on this day in 1947. John Ilse from Dire Straits was born on this day in 1949. From UB40, Astro was born on this day in 1957. Born on this day in 1961 is Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears. Richard Sven Krupps from Rammstein was born on this day in 1967. And born on this day in 1986, Solange. And those are all the big highlights in the world of music for June the 24th. Now let's take a look at what happened on this day for June 24th in the world of professional wrestling. As you see, here's a picture of Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle. Shane McMahon applying an ankle lock on Kurt Angle, which is actually Kurt Angle's move. So what happened in years past? Well, in 1994, Sabu defeated Cactus Jack in the main event of ECW Hostile City Showdown in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dory Funk Jr. and Terry Funk beat the Public Enemy, Johnny Grunge and Rocco Rock. Tommy Sierra beat the Sandman in a cane on a pole match, and the Tasmaniac pinned Pitbull, number 1,
in a dog collar match. In 1995, at a ceremony in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WWE introduced the second Hall of Fame class that included the Fabulous Moolah. Looking back at that in hindsight, why would you? The Grand Wizard, Ernie Ladd, Pedro Morales, Ivan Pacitsky, Antonio Rocca, and George the Animal Steele. Morales did not attend the ceremony as he was contracted to WCW as a Spanish language announcer at the time. With the exception of the mid-pandemic 2021 ceremony, he remains the only living person not to attend the WWE Hall of Fame. Little known trivia there. In 1996, the fallout from the King of the Ring and build-up to the In Your House International Incident pay-per-view was covered on the live and taped editions of WWF Monday Night Raw from Green Bay, Wisconsin. On the live edition, The Undertaker picked up a disqualification win over Stone Cold Steve Austin after an outside interference from Goldust. On taped editions of WWF champion Shawn Michaels defeated Marty Jannetty in a non-title match, and Goldust pinned Mark Merrow. The Ultimate Warrior made his last competitive TV appearance on WWF TV in a match against Owen Hart, and was kayfabe injured at the hands of Camp Cornette. In reality, the Warrior no-showed a number of house shows, and the situation was addressed on a taped edition of Raw by Gorilla Monsoon in the gimmick of the on-screen WWF president. Also in 96, Harlem Heat, Booker T and Stevie Ray defeated the Steiner Brothers and Lex Luger and Sting for the WCW World Tag Team titles in the main event of WCW Monday Nitro from Charlotte, North Carolina. Also the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, hey yo, officially declare war on WCW. In 2001, at the King of the Ring pay-per-view in East Rutherford, New Jersey, Edge defeated Kurt Angle in the finals of the tournament. The tournament itself was unique in that all four semifinals were heels. In the semis, Edge defeated Rhino and Angle defeated Christian. Angle's win came with assistance from Shane McMahon, who faced Angle later in the show in a bloody street fight. In helping his foe get to the final, he ensured that he had one more match to compete in before their violent encounter. In the final, McMahon interfered again, this time to cost Angle and give Edge the crown to anger his upcoming opponent. In that street fight, Angle emerged victorious from a vicious, bloody brawl that involved McMahon being thrown through a plate glass window that twice refused to break, and it had not been properly gimmicked. I remember that to this day. In the main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin retains the WWF Championship against Chris Jericho and the Invisible Man in a triple threat match, which was notable for outside interference from WCW heavyweight and United States champion Booker T, who was making his first appearance in the WWE, and the rest is history. In 2002, Vince McMahon opened up WWE Raw from Cleveland, Ohio, the night after the King of the Ring, and addressed the entire Raw roster who surrounded the ring and made one of the most important speeches in his company's history. McMahon asked the Red Brand roster who has ruthless aggression. The segment was in response to the recently launch of the Total Nonstop Action Wrestling brand, which made its TV debut 5 days prior to the addition of Raw. And it was the first opportunity for McMahon to address the situation on air without even mentioning TNA by name. McMahon revealed that it was his ruthless aggression in the past which helped him wipe out competition from his old territory organizations such as the NWA, AWA, to WCW, and ECW. This one segment highlighted the WWE's acknowledgement of the end of the Attitude Era and shift in WWE programming at the time. Also in 2002, former WWE champion Bret Hart suffered a stroke as a result of a blood clot caused by falling from his bicycle near his Calgary home. That's very unfortunate. And he hasn't been the same since. He hasn't really. In 2004, American Dragon was victorious in a Survival of the Fittest six-way match in the main event of ROH Survival of the Fittest in Philadelphia over Austin Aries, Cole Cabana, Homicide, Mark Briscoe, and the Samoa Submission Machine, Samoa Joe. In 2006, Bryan Danielson retains the ROH World Heavyweight title against Cole Cabana in the main event of ROH Chi-Town Struggle from Chicago Ridge, Illinois. In 2007, Chris Benoit committed suicide at his home in Fayetteville, Georgia, after murdering his wife Nancy and son Daniel in the days prior. He was 40 years old. It was a dark time then. It was dark time. Also in 2007, John Cena retains the WWE Championship over Bobby Lashley, King Booker, Mick Foley, and Randy Orton in a fatal five-way match in the main event of WWE Vengeance Night of Champions from Houston, Texas. This was the first WWE pay-per-view where every match on the card was a championship match. Johnny Nitro defeated CM Punk to win the vacant ECW World Championship, and Candice Michelle pins Melina to win the WWE Women's title. Also, Edge retains the World Heavyweight Championship against Batista by countout. The stipulation for this match was that Batista's last chance at the championship as long as Edge was holding the title. In 2008, Taylor Wilde pinned Awesome Kong for the TNA Knockouts Championship at the TNA Impact taping in Orlando, Florida. In 2012, Ring of Honor presented the Best in the World 2012 Hostage Crisis at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City, New York. On the show, the All Night Express, Kenny King, and Red Titus defeated the world's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, to win the ROH Tag Team Championship. In the main event, Kevin Steen retains the ROH World Championship against Davey Richards in a no disqualification match. Also in 2012, Nathan Cruz retains the Progress title over Marty Scurll in the main event of Progress Chapter 2, The March of Progress from the Garage in London, England. In 2013, Daniel Bryan defeated Randy Orton in the main event of WWE Raw from North Charleston, South Carolina. Also in 2013, Memphis Wrestling legend Jackie Fargo passed away at the age of 82. In 2015, TNA wrestler founder Jeff Jarrett made a shock return to the promotion for the first time in 4 years to kick off a TNA Global Force Wrestling feud. Former TNA stalwarts Sean Hernandez and Matt Morgan returned alongside Jarrett. In 2017, Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Matt Riddle by submission in the main event of Evolve number 86 in Melrose, Massachusetts. In 2018, Travis Banks retains the Progress title against Chuck Mambo at Progress Wrestling Chapter 72. Got Need at the Electric Ballroom in London, England. We have some birthdays for June 24th. We have Chiraku Nanimitsu, who was born on this day in 1993. Mark Haskins was born on this day in 1988. Then we got Corey Havoc, who was born on this day in 1987. Jessica Duke was born on this day, June 24th, 1986. Ray Horanos was born on this day in 1984. The current Raw General Manager, Adam Pearce, was born on June 24th, 1978. Madman Pondo was born on this day in 1969. And Thomas Zeus Lister Jr. was born on this day, June 24th, 1958. Those are all the events that happened on this day in the world of professional wrestling. Now let's take a look at what happened in June 24th and years past for movies and TV history. In 1916, Mary Pickford becomes the first female film star to receive a $1 million contract. In 1941, the U.S. Federal Communications Commission grants one commercial TV license to New York City experimental stations W2XBCBS and WNBT, and W2XAB as WCBW. Man, those are a lot of alphabet abbreviations right there. In 1949, Hopalong Cassidy becomes first network Western. In 1953, KSWS, now KOBR TV Channel 8 in Roswell, New Mexico, begins broadcasting. In 1954, Musical Review, John Murray Anderson's Almanac, starring Harry Belafonte, Hermonte, Gene Holden, Orson Bean, closes at Imperial Theater, New York City after 229 performances and a Tony Award win. In 1955, 5th Berlin International Film Festival, The Rats wins Golden Bear. In 1956, The Steve Allen Show returns on NBC TV. Also in 1956, WISC TV Channel 3 in Madison, Wisconsin begins broadcasting. In 1960, 10th Berlin International Film Festival, El Razzolo de Tormes wins Golden Bear. Sorry if I mispronounced that. In 1961, Jacques Offenbach and Yip Harburg's musical The Happiest Girl in the World, starring Sarah Richard and Justin Rule, closes at Marschenbeck, New York City after 97 performances. In 1963, first demonstration of a home video recorder at BBC Studios in London. In 1966, 16th Berlin International Film Festival, Cul-de-sac wins the Golden Bear. In 1970, Catch-22 opens in movie theaters. In 1971, Warner Brothers releases McCabe and Mrs. Miller, a Western film by Robert Altman, starring Warren Beatty and Julie Christie, with songs by Leonard Cohen. 1975 movie The Rocky Horror Picture Show, released in Germany. 1977, the 27th Berlin International Film Festival, The Ascent wins the Golden Bear. 1981, For Your Eyes Only, 12th James Bond starring Roger Moore and first directed by John Glenn, premieres in London. In 2006, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, directed by George Verbinski, starring Johnny Depp, Keira Knightley, and Orlando Bloom, premieres at Disneyland, becomes fastest film to gross over $1 billion. In 2009, Michael Bay's film Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen is released, grossing over $832 million worldwide. But is the quality any good? Not really. Moving on. 2010, The Twilight Saga Eclipse, based on the book by Stephanie Meyer, directed by David Slade, and starring Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, premieres in Los Angeles. In 2010, Ringo stars in the 11th All-Star Band debuts in concert. Members include Rick Derringer, Edgar Winter, Gary Wright, Richard Page, Wally Palmer, and Greg Bissonette. In 2015, the Glastonbury Festival in Pilton, England opens. Kanye West and The Who headline. Other performers include Lionel Richie, Motorhead, Burt Bacharach, The Libertines, and Pharrell Williams. Need not say any more about Kanye West. And those are all the things that happened on this day for film and television for June 24th. Now, for the final thing for on this day, we're going to take a look at sports. Nothing but sports. So, what happened in sports for June 24th? Well, in 1882, National League expels umpire Richard Hingham from baseball for dishonesty after his links with gambling on games are confirmed.
In 1899, U.S. National Championship Women's Tennis, Philadelphia. Marion Jones beats Maud Banks 6-1, 6-1, 7-5 for her first two U.S. singles titles. In 1905, U.S. National Championships Women's Tennis, Philadelphia. Elizabeth Moore wins her fourth U.S. singles title, beats Helen Holmes 6-4, 5-7, and 6-1. In 1910, 50th British Open Men's Golf, St. Andrews. James Braid wins championship for a fifth time, 4 strokes ahead of fellow Scot Sandy Hurd, 1902 champion. In 1913, British Open Men's Golf, Royal Liverpool. Englishman J.H. Taylor wins championship for a fifth time and final time, 8 strokes ahead of defending champion Ted Ray. In 1922, American Professional Football Association renamed the National Football League. Also in 1922, charter NFL club Chicago Stanleys renamed Chicago Bears by team founder, owner, and head coach George Halas. In 1928, U.S. Open Men's Golf, Olympia Fields. Johnny Farrell defeats amateur Bobby Jones by 1 stroke in a 36-hole playoff to win his only major title. That's a close game. That's a really close game, I gotta say. In 1930, ground is broken for construction of Cleveland Stadium, homes of MLB Indians, 1932-33, and NFL Browns, 1946, I should say, to 1995. In 1936, I should say. We're going decades by here. We're sticking to the old days here still. 1936, rookie outfielder Joe DiMaggio ties 3 MLB records in New York's 10-run fifth inning against the White Sox, hitting 2 home runs for 8 total bases. The Yankees beat Chicago 18-4, and you couldn't say that Yankees suck back then. In 1947, future Baseball Hall of Famer infielder Jackie Robinson steals home for the first of 19 times in his career as the Brooklyn Dodgers beats Pittsburgh Pirates 4-2. Also in 1947, PGA Championship Men's Golf, Plum Hollow. Jim Ferrer becomes the first Australian to win a major title, beats Chick Herbert 2-1. In 1950, LPGA Western Open Women's Golf, Cherry Hills. Babe Didrikson Zaharis wins her 4th Western Open, beats Peggy Kirk 5-3. Also in 1950, New York Giants outfielder Wes Restrom hits 3 home runs and a triple in a 12-2 rout of the Cincinnati Reds at the Polo Grounds V. In 1955, Harmon Killebrew hits his first home run off Billy Horth. In 1956, LPGA Championship Women's Golf, Forest Lake. Marlene Haig wins her only major title, beats Patty Berg by 2 strokes in a sudden death playoff. In 1962, outfielder Jack Reed hits his only MLB home run in the 22 inning as New York Yankees edge Detroit Tigers 9-7 in the slowest extra inning game in league history, 7 hours. That's a lot. That is a lot. In 1968, Detroit outfielder Jim Northrup hits 2 grand slams to help the Tigers beat the Cleveland Indians 14-3. That was the burial that day. In 1968, Joe Frazier stopped Mexican challenger Manuel Ramos in second round TKO at New York City's Madison Square Garden in his first ever heavyweight boxing title defense. In 1968, LPGA Championship Women's Golf, Pleasant Valley. Canadian Sandra Post wins an 18-hole playoff against Kathy Whitward by 7 strokes.
In 1970, Bobby Mercer ties a record of 4 consecutive home runs. That's impressive right there. In 1972, South African runner Danny Milan sets a new 1,000-meter world record in 2:16 in Munich, Germany. In 1974, India is dismissed for 42 in 17 overs in second test defeat to England at Lord's, the lowest total in country's test cricket history. Chris Old 5-21 and Jeff Arnold 4-19. Also in 1974, Kansas City pitcher Steve Busby retires the first 9 White Sox set AL record with 33 consecutive batsmen retired. Royals still lose 3-1 to Chicago. In 1979, Ricky Henderson makes MLB debut for the Oakland A's and steals his first base. And the rest is history, obviously. In 1980, Affirmed wins $500,000 Hollywood Cup, first horse to win $2 million. That's a lot right there. In 1983, Don Sutton becomes 8th pitcher to strike out 3,000 batters. Impressive. In 1984, MLB Cincinnati Reds, Joe Morgan sets career home run mark for a second baseman with 265. In 1984, Senior Tournament Players Championship Men's Golf category, Arnold Palmer wins second straight championship tours majors by 3 strokes ahead of Peter Thompson of Australia. In 1987, CFL's Montreal Alouettes team folds. In 1987, also, minor league Salt Lake City Trespassers began pro baseball record 29 consecutive win streak. In 1988, Cleveland pitcher Doug Jones sets a record of 14 consecutive saves. Was it the actor? I'm just wondering. In 1988, also, the Red Sox began AL record 23 consecutive home run win streak. In 1989, Cards Vince Coleman steals record 39th and 40th consecutive bases. In 1991, NHL adopts instant replay as 10th of a second look in the final minute. In 1992, MLB Commissioner Fay Vincent permanently bans pitcher Steve Howe from baseball for repeated substance abuse violations, later overturned on the appeal. In 1992, also NBA draft LSU center Shaquille O'Neal, first pick by Orlando Magic. In 1995, third Rugby World Cup, Ellis Park, Johannesburg, Springboks fly half, Joel Stratsky lands the winning draw goal in extra time as South Africa defeats New Zealand 15-2. Also in 1995, Stanley Cup Final, Meadowlands Air Arena, East Rutherford, New Jersey Devils beats Detroit Red Wings 5-2 for a 4-0 series sweep. Devils' first Stanley Cup Finals appearance. In 1997, despite an AL record 19 strikeout performance by Randy Johnson, A's first baseman Mark McGwire hits a massive 538-foot home run in Oakland's 4-1 defeat of Seattle Mariners. In 1988, NBA Draft Pacific Center Michael Olowokondesky, if I butchered that, I'm sorry. Well, their first pick was by the Los Angeles Clippers. In 2001, LPGA Championship Women's Golf, 26-year-old Australian Kerry Webb becomes the youngest woman to win career slam, beats runner-up by Laura Diaz by 2 strokes. In 2004, NBA Draft Southwest Atlanta Christian Academy power fighter Dwight Howard, first pick by Orlando Magic. In 2009, Mike Babcock is named head coach of Team Canada for the 2010 Winter Olympics. They would win the gold medal. In 2010, in the longest match in tennis history, American John Isner defeats Nicolas Mout of France at Wimbledon's after 11 hours and 5 minutes of play over 3 days. That has got to be some sort of record, like the longest tennis match in history ever. I mean, it says right there the longest match in tennis history. I mean, what do you expect? And also in 2010, NBA draft Kentucky point guard John Wall first picked by Washington Wizards. In 2011, NHL draft Red Deer Rebels, WHL center Ryan Nugget Hopkins first picked by Edmonton Oilers. In 2012, female athletes will be allowed to compete for Saudi Arabia at the Olympics for the first time. I mean, what took them? I'm just saying, what took them? In 2013, Stanley Cup Final, TD Garden, Boston, Massachusetts, Chicago Blackhawks defeat Boston Bruins 3-2 for a 4-2 series victory, Blackhawks' 5th championship. In 2014, Sidney Crosby wins the Hart Memorial Trophy and the Ted Lindsay Award for the 2014 NHL. In 2015, Montreal Canadiens goaltender Carey Price wins the 2014 and 2015 Hart Trophy as the NHL's MVP. In 2016, NHL Draft ZSC Lions in LA center Austin Matthews first pick by Toronto Maple Leafs. In 2017, world record for highest altitude football match ever played at 18,799 feet on Mount Kilimanjaro by women's international team. In 2022, American Katie Ledecky wins the 800-meter gold medal in 8:08.4 as the World Swimming Championships in Budapest. Completes 400, 800, 1500 treble for unprecedented fourth time as a single worlds. In 2023, MLB Los Angeles, Mike Trout, Brendan Drury, and Matt Tyus hit home runs on 3 consecutive pitches, 25-1 win over Rockies at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. In 2023, opener Tammy Beaumont smashes 208 in the Ashes test against Australia at Trent Bridge for the highest ever score by Englishwoman in Test cricket. Australia goes on to win by 89 runs. In 2024, Philadelphia Phillies turn rare 1-3-5 triple play, MLB's first since 1929, during 8-1 win over Tigers at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. And also in 2024, Stanley Cup Final, American Bank Arena, Sunrise, Florida. Florida Panthers win their first title in franchise history, defeating the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 in Game 7. MVP Connor McDavid, Oilers captain. And those are all the events that happened on this day for June 24th in the world of sports, nothing but sports. And I do believe it is about that time for the main event for episode 74 of the Rock Out Wallet Show. Let's get this going, shall we? I'm going to go over an article on the 30 movies that define the 60s by Forbes. So let's see what this list entails. So let's share screen, and let's give this a look, shall we? So this was an article by Rosa Iskandon, former contributor on the website Forbes here. It was published last year, February 22nd. And these are the 30 movies that defined the 60s. So if you grew up in the 60s, or if you're a big fan of movies that came from the 60s, this will be your list, I have a feeling. So
What does this article tell me? So, it says the 1960s were a decade of change in America and around the world. Minority rights were expanded, space travel became more than science fiction, and counterculture gained momentum. In many ways, cinema reflected the changing world. The Hollywood studio system had been crumbling since the late 1940s, and by the 1960s, audiences were introduced to independent cinema, the rise of New Hollywood, and the end of strict censorship laws. The 1960s were also an excellent era for international films. In France, the new wave was fully established. In Italy, the Giallo film was born. While the 1950s saw the golden age of cinema in Japan, the 1960s produced high output of classic Japanese films. The 1960s are a critical decade in cinema history, and the best films of the 60s captured the feeling of the era. The greatest 60s movies came from many genres and countries, but they all are enduring films that are still amazing 60 plus years later. And it says here, well, the 1960s saw some great comedies, romances, and dramas. Other genres like horror, sci fi, and musicals were extremely popular. Many great directors, such as Stanley Kubrick, Federico Fellini, and Akira Kurosawa, and Jean-Luc Godard, made their mark on the decade with iconic films. At the same time, actors like John Wayne, Julie Andrews, Paul Newman, Sean Connery, the game Sean Connery, Richard Burton, and Omar Sharif ruled the box office. So, let's take a look how I'm going to skip this little part here and go straight to the list. What I'll do is I'll go over the first half of it just by looking around at it. And we'll talk more about numbers 15 to number 1. That's how we will do it. So, at number 30 of the 30 movies that define the 1960s, a movie called Wait Until Dark that came out in 1967. Then we got The Great Escape at number 29. This movie came out in 1963. This was a movie that was directed by John Sturges. Then we have The Leopard at number 28, a movie that came out in 1963. Looks like one of those old English type of movies that I have no desire to watch at all. Number 27, The Housemaid, 1960. Just by the title alone, I would not watch that at all. Number 26, Blood and Black Lace. This one came out in 1964. Guaranteed the eighth greatest shocks ever filmed. Looks like one of those erotic type of movies. Blood and Black Lace, yeah. And then we have Cold Hand Luke at number 25, which came out in 1967. And this guy is chained up from the ankles for some reason. Then we have Black Girl. This one came out in 1966. This one is at number 24. Number 23, The Sound of Music. This one came out in 1925. And you pretty much know this movie if you've seen clips of it. It's got Julie Andrews in it and Christopher Plummer. A very, very young Christopher Plummer, born from the 60s, I might add. And it's a musical as well. And speaking of musicals, at number 22, Mary Poppins from 1964. You know this movie. You know your history. It's Mary Poppins. It's Dick Van Dyke. You know the rest. Can't believe the guy's still alive and he's 99.
Or I mean, he's not. He's 100. The guy is 100 and he still looks fantastic. Dick Van Dyke is an absolute legend in my book. At number 21 is 8.5. This one came out in 1963. Number 20, Night of the Living Dead. This one came out in 1968. And I actually watched this movie sometime last year, I do believe. It was a pretty good movie, I must say. It's a really, 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 really good zombie movie. The ending, I'm still, what the heck? But overall, it's one you should see. It is a horror classic, definitely as it says. Number 19, Once Upon a Time in the West. This one came out in 1968. If you love Westerns, this is the one for you. Number 18, Funny Girl. This one came out in 1968. Looks like one of those old English. I don't know if it's old English or what, but it looks very fancy. One I would probably not see at all, ever. Number 17 on this list. Before I get into it, it looks like that from what I'm seeing here, it's a musical. Funny Girl from 1968 is a musical of the 60s. Number 17, The Apartment from 1960. Movie directed by Billy Wilder. One I probably will not see. The Birds is at number 16. This one came out in 1963. This one I have watched. And it's a really, really damn good movie. It's directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It's one of the best horror movies of all time. That is all you need to know. Oh, and there's a lot of birds in this movie. I mean, a lot of birds are flying around this movie. You would be terrified of birds after watching this movie. I should mention that as well. So let's talk about the second half of this list here. Lee Samurai at number 15. This one came out in 1967. When thinking about the 1960s, there's a certain coolness or chickness to it. So Lee Samurai feels very 1960s and very French through the lens. Variety's Peter DeBurge once said, Les Samurai might be the coolest film ever made, directed by Jean-Pierre Melville. The film follows a hitman who must evade police and his own crime bosses after a hit on a nightclub owner. It stars Alain Delon, Natalie Delon, Kathy Reuser, and Francois Pierre. Les Samurai was widely influential on the action hitman genre and currently holds a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. A 4K restoration of the film by Pathé as in the Criterion Collection from the 35mm original camera negative was recently completed and screened 2 years ago, and it's available as well. Number 14, The Story of a 3-Day Paris. This one came out in 1967. The story of a 3-day pass follows a Black American GI on the 3-day leave to Paris and a star-crossed affair with a French shop clerk. While its director, Melvin Van Peebles, is more synonymous with black exploitation films of the 1970s, the story of a 3-day pass is a must-watch that feels more akin to the French New Wave. The film stars Henry Baird and Nicole Berger. It was Peebles' featured directorial debut, and it was filmed in France, since it was difficult for him as a black filmmaker to break into Hollywood. The film debuted at the San Francisco Film Festival, where it won an award in a French entry, I should say, leading producers to mistake Peebles for a French auteur. Peebles was actually from Chicago. In 2020, the story of a 3-day pass was selected for the Cannes Classics and at the Cannes Film Festival, and Richard Brody championed it in the New York in the New Yorker as being amongst the great American films of the 60s. Number 13, From Russia with Love, 1963. In the sense here, while they are still making them today, something about a James Bond film just feels like the 1960s. From Russia with Love is the second film in the James Bond series and a direct sequel to 1962's Dr. No. While From Russia with Love is a sequel, it often ranks higher in the series than the original. In the film, James Bond returns to take on a secret crime organization known as Spectre in the mounting Cold War. Then that's foreshadowing from decades after that. Directed by Terrence Young, the film stars Sean Connery, the gamer Sean Connery, Pedro Armarianis, Lot Liana, Robert Shaw, Bernard Lee, and Daniela Bianchi. The film delivers action, gadgets, and iconic chase scenes, as all James Bond films should. Number 12 on this list, God damn you all to hell, you blew it up, from 1968, The Planet of the Apes, an absolute classic of a movie. It's a sci-fi classic, directed by Franklin J. Schaffner. It follows the human crew of a spaceship after they crash land on the planet ruled by humanoid apes. The film stars Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowell, Kim Hunter, Maurice Evans, James Whitmore, James Daly, and Linda Harrison. Planet of the Apes has been parodied and homaged so many times that it will likely feel familiar even to those who have never seen it. The film has become a franchise with prequels and an extended universe as well. I mean, you got the trilogy of Caesar of Apes, which are absolutely fantastic, but it would not work if it was for Planet of the Apes 1968. Number 11 on this list is another musical, West Side Story. This one came out in 1961. It says here, West Side Story is a modern retelling of Romeo and Juliet between New York street gangs. The film is based on the 1957 musical of the same name by Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim. While the film is a musical classic, it has a big brownface issue. Several white actors play Puerto Ricans in the film, including the lead, Natalie Wood. The film won 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. West Side Story was remade in 2021. Notably, Rita Moreno and later Ariana DeBose both won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for the portrayal of Anita in their respective films, making them the only two Latinas to have won in the category. However, Zoe Saldana or Monica Barbeau may become the third in 2025. Then we get into the top 10 portion of this list, and at number 10 is Playtime from 1967. It says here, Playtime is one of a couple of notable French comedies directed by, co-written, starring Jacques Tati. It is connected to his 1950s classics, Les Fanches and Du Monsieur, Houlat, and Mon Oncle. However, I'm sorry if I mispronounced all of that. I'm not very good at French. I'm just going to say that right now. However, it is easily the best and most impressive of the three films. Playtime follows Monsieur Houlat as he bumbles through a complex modern city and intersects with an American tourist. Playtime was incredibly expensive to make for its time. It was shot on high resolution 70mm film and filmed on a large constructed set. The set required 100 workers to build and even necessitated its own power plant. Playtime is notably beautiful with its iconic imagery. However, it is also a great comedy that feels a bit like modernist Chaplin. So there you go. Number 9 on this list, In the Heat of the Night from 1967. So let's see what it says here. They Call Me Mr. Tibbs. Sidney Poitier starring in 3 films in 1967, all of which are 1960s classics: To Serve with Love, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and In the Heat of the Night. In the Heat of the Night follows a Black Philadelphia detective who becomes embroiled in a higher profile murder investigation in small Mississippi town. Or I should say, in a small Mississippi town. We don't know which town it is, though, but it is a small one. Directed by Norman Jewison, the film also stars Rod Steiger, Warren Oates, and Lee Grant. While it is based on the 1965 novel by John Ball of the same name, there are a couple of noticeable differences between the two, including famous celebrity scenes. In the Heat of the Night builds tension not only through the mounting investigation, but also the racial tension of the 1960s Mississippi, which feels very 1960s and still relevant. Still relevant as well in 2026. The film was nominated for several Oscars, winning 5, including the Best Picture. In 2002, it was selected for preservation in the Library of Congress. So good on them. Number 8 on this list is Psycho. I was almost expecting this to be higher, but I like that it's in the top 10. Thank goodness for that. We all go a little mad sometimes. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho is one of 2 iconic horror films from the 1960s that led to the slasher genre, the other being 1960s P.B. Tom, which is another must-watch for the thriller genre. Psycho follows a murder at a run-down motel, the sister and lover of the victim as they look into her disappearance, a shy motel operator. Norman Bates stars Anthony Perkins, Vera Miles, John Gavin, Martin Balsam, and Janet Leigh as well. Psycho is a classical foundation of horror film. However, it has been criticized by the trans community and mental illness advocates. I can sort of see why that is. I'm not going to spoil it because of the ending if you haven't seen it. Psycho has seeped into the larger culture consciousness, and even if you haven't seen it, the film was likely to feel familiar, given how much it's referenced, especially its the shower scene and final shot. It is currently streaming as well, so there you go. Number 7, Harakiri from 1962. Looks like a Japanese film I would never ever watch. Easily one of the best samurai movies ever made, it says. So you never know, I might give it a shot. You never know. And says Harakiri follows a Ronin during the Tokugawa shogunate who requested to commit a ritualized form of suicide called seppuku, or harakiri, at the manor of the local lord. So that's what the movie is. Okay. The film was directed by Masaki Kobayashi and stars Tetsuya Nakadiya, Shama Iwachiya, Akira Ishimaya, and Tsuru Tamba, and Rintaro Miyuki. I'm sorry if I mispronounce those names. It's a beautiful film about power, glory, and control. The film received the Special Jury Award at the 1963 Cannes Film Festival and is still beloved today. The film currently holds 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and is the highest rated film on Letterboxd. It was remade in 2011 by Takashi Miike as Harakiri, Death of a Samurai. While the 2011 version is also good, the original is far better. If you're looking for more 1960s samurai classics from Kobayashi, 1967's Samurai Rebellion is another must-watch. 1962's Harakiri is available to rent as well. Number 6 on this list, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg from 1964. It says here, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg is a French New Wave opera masterpiece. The film follows two star-crossed lovers in the city of Cherbourg in Normandy. It was written and directed by Jacques Demy and stars Catherine Deneuve and Nino Cancellanuvo. Demy would go on to direct another iconic 1960s musical, The Young Ladies of Rochefort, in 1967, also starring Deneuve. While both are excellent films, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg is better. It is a gorgeously heartbreaking film that won the Palme d'Or at the 1964 Cannes Film Festival. The film has influenced films like Damien Chazelle's La La Land and Greta Gerwig's Barbie. Number 5 is Yojimbo from 1961. Hopefully, I did pronounce that correctly. And this is a samurai classic by director Akira Kurosawa, starring his frequent collaborator Toshiro Mifune. The film follows a nameless Ronin, later named Sandrio, as he starts a gang war in small village controlled criminals. The popularity of the film led Kurosawa to rework his follow-up film, Senjuro, a great 1960s samurai film in its own right, to include the character, I should say. So this movie has influenced many other films. It was unofficially remade into two spaghetti westerns, 1964's A Fistful of Dollars and 1966's Django. The cantina scene in Star Wars Episode IV, A New Hope, contains a homage to Yojimbo, and the film is further referenced in Star Wars The Last Jedi as well. Number 4, I figured this would be number 1, but it's at number 4. It's good, it's high on the list. 2001, A Space Odyssey from 1968. Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey is one of the most influential films ever made. The film follows astronauts set on a mysterious space mission and their ship's computer system, HAL, which starts acting erratically. It stars Keir Duella, Gary Lockwood, William Sylvester, and Douglas Rain. The film was based on a couple of short stories by Arthur C. Clarke, who also co-wrote the film, and it has a slightly disparate feel. This originally led to many audiences not getting it. During the New York premiere, 250 people reportedly walked out. And at the LA premiere, actor Rock Hudson notably left after muttering, "What is this bullshit?" That's what he said. Little did they know that this movie would age like fine wine, I might add. And while the initial reviews were mixed, it has been fully reassessed as one of the greatest films ever made. It is a deep and stylish film that left a considerable mark not only on the sci-fi genre, but on film history as well. Number 3 on this list is Breathless from 1960. It says here that Breathless is not only one of the best films ever made and one of the best French films, it's simply one of the best as well. Directed by French master director Jean-Luc Godard, Breathless follows a low-level criminal and his girlfriend after he impulsively kills a policeman. The film stars Jean Seberg and Jean-Paul Belmondo. And it says, while other films of the 1960s, Godard's films such as Jules and Jim, Contempt and Masculine, Feminine, and are masterpieces, Breathless stands apart from its influence. It helps establish the French New York wave style and popularize new directing techniques such as unique use of jump cuts. It's been referenced in many other new wave films and beyond. The runner-up position at number 2 is La Dolce Vita. So this one came out in 1960. It's another iconic Italian film. Director Federico Fellini. It follows a reporter through the episodic situation in Rome. The film functions as a character study of both the protagonist in the decadently decaying society he chases. The film is profoundly stylish with many iconic visuals. While it is nearly 3 hours, it doesn't struggle with its very long runtime. The film stars Marcello Mastroianni, uh, Anu Gami, Anita Ekberg, Yvonne Ferru, Alan Cunney, Annabelle Lynchie, Magalini Noel, Lex Barker, Jacques Zerinis, and Nadia Gray. And it says here it was heavily censored upon its first release and even banned in some countries. The film was also condemned by the Vatican as it saw it as a parody of the Second Coming of Jesus. However, it was well received in America and nominated for 4 Oscars. It is an influential film that has been referenced in later films like Lost in Translation, LA Story, and Under the Tucson Sun. La Dolce Vita has been on many of the best films lists and was Roger Ebert's favorite film. He consistently included it in his top 10 films for Light and Sound polls. And the number one movie, according to this list from the 1960s, is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying About and Love the Bomb. This one came out in 1964. Arguably the best comedy of the 1960s and one of the best comedies of all time, Dr. Strangelove is a dark satire about the threat of nuclear annihilation during the Cold War. It follows a situation where American general plans to drop a nuclear bomb on Soviet Union. This film was directed by Stanley Kubrick and stars Peter Sellers in 3 roles: a British officer, the American president, and the titular doctor, a former Nazi and nuclear war expert. It also stars George C. Scott, Sterling Hayden, Kian Wynn, Slim Pickens, and Tracy Reed. It was nominated for 4 Oscars and was one of the first 25 films selected for preservation in the Library of Congress. So number 1, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, is number 1 on this list. And that was your main event for episode 74 of the Rock and Wild Show. That was the article from Forbes, 30 movies that define the 60s. And this has been episode number 74 of the Rock and Wild Show. I'm going to leave you all with a quote from Perspective of the Day, and it goes something like this: "You deserve peace and more than endless approval. Your worth is not defined by the opinions of others. Embrace who you are and find solace in your own approval. Trust in your journey and the path you are on. Remember, true peace comes from within, not from seeking validation from others. Allow yourself to let go of the need for constant approval and focus on finding contentment within yourself. You're deserving of peace, happiness, and self-acceptance. Embrace your uniqueness and value your own opinion above all else. Your journey is yours to navigate, so prioritize your own well-being and inner peace." I am your host, Just Mike, and this has been episode number 74 of the Rock Out Wild Show. And on a final note to all of you watching and listening to this all around the world, get plenty of rest and always do your best.